Just a few seconds.
Can you hear us now? They were saying in the Discord they couldn't hear us, or they couldn't hear anything other than maybe us but not the music.
All right, right off the bat, there's the full heal. Kind of disappointing sometimes to find it that early. It's nicer once you've actually fought some things.
Yeah, but there's not a heck of a lot to worry on the first floor anyway. So it's a lot of.
You
That's
don't know
true.
what that first boss is going to be yet.
Or I guess you could always wander into a hieroglyph in the very first room. You never know. You're right.
I think hieroglyphs are supposed to be scripted not to show up until the second floor, but I mean the first boss could be something pretty nasty.
Oh, is that how? Okay, I didn't realize they weren't scripted to show until the first floor. Maybe that's a later version. I'm always feeling like I always got them on the first.
It's an interesting battle background with the snake.
So backgrounds are also slightly randomized in the Earthbound Ancient Cave ROM, which leads to some interesting backgrounds, to say the least.
The only bad part about watching both runners with the audio on is that when they use the R button to drop an item, I can't tell who, especially if they don't drop it right away.
I never even realized that little caveat of it. That's a good point. This is why you're the best of the best, Ori.
Dragonite is not made from dragon. That is a myth.
Chaz is confirming that we only should be hearing Thomas's audio, so that's who will be dropping.
I mean, I've got both audios on my end. So one thing to note is that enemies tend to keep their drop percentage rate, but the item that they drop is randomized. So if you fight a crow, 50% of the time he's going to drop something, and it's usually about the same tier as the cookie normally. So if you wind up fighting a lot of crows, you're probably going to see a lot of cookies or popsicles or cartons of cream or other generally not very helpful items. But you never know. Sometimes they have something halfway decent.
For instance, one of my seeds, it kept dropping fresh eggs, which meant I got to be a very humane individual because I got to release many chickens by the end of my.
There's a pair of dirty socks on Eriphram side. It's a dumb item. You throw it at an enemy and it has a chance to solidify them based on the enemy's luck. Generally, you just throw that thing away and you don't give it a second thought. There are some interesting strats that you can try with it if you're willing to hold on to them, though. I don't think I've seen anybody try it, though. It basically deals with the turn economy. If you hang up one of your kids solidifying your enemy, especially if it's a nasty boss, then everyone else is free to do whatever they want. I think most runners of Ancient Cave have just decided, though, that if you're in that situation to begin with, you're probably already in a bad place. They just try something else.
Yeah, it's more of a Hail Mary move than anything else, I would imagine.
Looks like the, not the Mole Cave, the Onet Cave on Eriphram side. It's kind of nice to see obnoxious rooms like this one early on, so that you don't have to worry about like floor 9 enemies blocking your path to Gygus, and you have to walk through this entire room from bottom to top.
Yeah, there's definitely a mix of rooms you do not want to see in later floors, but it also largely depends on where the spawn plates end up actually spawning, because some floors could be completely free of spawn plates and you don't even have to worry about enemies. It's very rare that happens.
Yeah, it seems like Chaz is kind of erred on the side of more enemies than less. But both runners right now are pretty much in the same place. They have about the same amount of information, about equally far into the cave, and it looks like Eriphram has just now found the first ball.
And it is a mad duck, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, that is a first floor boss.
Eriphram went for the auto fight, but the duck's a little bit too tough for that. This is kind of wasting a lot of time. Yeah, it's definitely worth using the freeze alpha. Yeah, too late.
But he manages to take it down on a 1 HP hit from Pooh, so there you go.
Kind of underestimate how much defense the duck actually has. When you fight it for the first time in Earthbound, Jeff actually has a weapon. Thomas here looks like he's going to take advantage of this little tidbit. If you fight Frank, it works just like the story in Earthbound. So you'll fight Frank, he'll pull out Frankie Stein, you'll fight, and then once you've defeated them both, you can walk out and back into the room, and Frank will let you basically rest at an inn, is the equivalent of what he'll do, as long as Ness is alive.
Both runners choosing to do auto fight strats on these what are typically very weak bosses, but again, they don't really have any weapons, and if your offense doesn't move up in those first couple of levels, those really are just a bunch of wasted turns. Eriphram has stumbled into Magicant, so Magicant has a complete full heal if you talk to Ness's mother, and there is also the Magicant, the little area in the far close to the Sea of Eden where you can find 4 different presents if you choose to venture out there. It can be kind of make or break in later floor.
Yeah, if you decide you want to dig, the enemies that'll be back there are going to be tough. It's up to pretty much how much equipment you have and how desperately you feel you need new stuff.
Eriphram fighting some worthless protoplasms right now. Those enemies are also surprisingly tough with a lack of proper offensive equipment.
This mushroom's a pretty dangerous enemy to sit here and auto fight. It doesn't look like the kids have many IQ points, so I understand wanting to conserve psych, but every round you're in a fight with this mushroom, there's a decent chance that at least one kid's going to get mushroomized. Eriphram using his iframes here to take advantage and get a green swirl so he doesn't have to fight the next group.
Yeah, mushroomization causes that ever lovely effect that you may have seen in the recent release of Smash Brothers, where your controls are all messed up. So that can be incredibly time-consuming in an ancient cave run, because if you can't control what direction your character moves in, you're not able to move effectively across the.
Best sound effect in the game. That was on Eriphram's side. Hopefully, we'll get to hear it on Thomas's side in a if you weren't aware, in the room that Eriphram was just in, it's normally the end of the monkey cave. If you talk to the face that was on the ground there, he will heal Ness, Paula, and Jeff. He won't heal. You aren't supposed to have poo at that point in the game, and for some reason, it's hard coded to only heal those 3 kids.
All right, Thomas finding the first floor boss.
And Eriphram's kind of struggling on this. Oh, there he goes. He finally got the robot. They can actually be pretty scary depending on their actual hit point total, since that's a thing that can get randomized, as well as their speed. If you throw your big bottle rocket at it, you may be doing 700 damage and it might miss. You never know.
And they also call for help, which isn't good for low levels, and especially if you're running dry and psychic points as well, because then you're just kind of out of luck because you can't run from them either. Oh, Thomas finding multi-bottle rockets, but it's still floor 2, which means he has no money to actually purchase them.
Yeah, that'll mostly be a waste. But it tends anyway, to seem like if you find multi-bottle rockets early on, that you'll find them with other vendors too. So that's kind of a positive thing to note in general.
Yeah, usually when you see an item somewhere, you end up seeing it elsewhere. That is true.
It seems like generally the same kinds of vendors tend to carry the same kinds of items between shops, and it changes up a fair. But if you go into the burger shop and they're selling super bombs there, if you go into a restaurant somewhere else, there's a fair chance they'll be selling super bombs. Thomas thought about it for a second, but he's not going to dig through the depths of Magic Ant for. It's probably not worth it, especially on floor 2. You got a slim chance of finding some really good items, but on the whole, I'd say you're better off just keeping moving.
I would agree. I would say not until maybe floor. Any sort of extra time that you spend looking for presents, I would say you want to spend that time only on floors 5 or 6 and above, because that's when you have the chance to start finding pendants that will be useful in that final Gygas fight.
Yeah, unless I'm really struggling, I'd say that's about right. I wouldn't really consider digging until about floor 6. If my children's stats are absolutely terrible, then I might start looking as early as floor 2 if I really feel like I need the defense to keep keep moving in the sea.
Eriphram opting to put the letter A in for his name. Usually we get lovely messages out to the streamers, like butts, 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 butts is one of the frequent ones that.
Hey, it's a doggo seed. So,
All right, dogs, woohoo!
Eriphram taking advantage of there's just a hitman hanging out on the streets of Summers. All you gotta remember is to go over and talk to him. Doesn't cost you anything. You just gotta go look.
Yeah, Summers and Forest Sides. The one good thing if you end up in either of those hubs is that you have not pretty, but you basically have instant access to a hitman, and our hitman actually looks like a hitman today. So that's.
It's a video game museum. That's fun. Eriphram, I'm thinking about buying those hamburgers. They are a pretty good item to hold on to as far as skips go. You've got 3 monkeys that will accept hamburgers. So as far as like holding on to an item to attempt to skip goes, I'd say that's about the highest worth, along with a pencil eraser. Those are like the items to hold on to.
Absolutely. Anytime in early floors, if you run across a shop with a item for the monkeys, you should take advantage of that and buy it immediately.
Well, Tobus is fighting this robot now. Let's see how it goes for him. It was a little scary for Eriphram.
Ooh, that call almost works, but luckily it doesn't. And he's able to take it out pretty quickly with a big bottle rocket. So good.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the fights. If I get into that early, I would strongly recommend just throwing the bottle rocket and getting a bunch of that way, if you wind up in another one of those fights, you should have enough psychic points to just use freeze betas. Really, I'm just looking for the best return on that big bottle rocket. Dying obviously costs a lot of time. If I really think I can get through the fight without it, then maybe I'll hold on to it and try to fight like maybe a mole in Mole Cave or something with it. But generally speaking, I'm looking for the first enemy that gives a fair amount of experience, and I can just throw that thing and be done with it.
Yeah, usually that big bottle rocket for me also comes down to am I going to die? If I'm going to die and it's going to waste a lot of time, then I'm going to use the big bottle rocket now and save myself the time. So again, it's still relatively early in both of these seeds, but if we were to give someone the quote-unquote lead, Eriphram has pulled slightly ahead, but he's still searching the Summers hub. By the way he's acting, either he's figured out that it may be a dead end, or he has skipped a certain opening and maybe he's going back to one that has more exits.
Yeah, that's why it's really hard to say at this point who would be in the lead. Because all it would really take is for Thomas to go a different route, never run into Summers, and bam, there you go. It would be that he doesn't know that it's a doggo seed yet. But I personally just assume it's a dog seed until proven otherwise. There we go. There's the next boss.
And Eriphram finds the on it sweet spot, the on it. I almost called it Skip Scott. What's it called? The giant step sanctuary. There we go. I can think of things. I can. Thank you.
These enemies are still pretty easy for now, but this gets pretty tough pretty fast. Airframe members disable auto fight after all the kids are. Not just because they'll all miss with their attacks, but because the kids will waste valuable time trying to heal that crying. And all this thing's going to do is make you cry again. Just do something else.
Both literally and in the game, it makes you cry. But luckily, Airframe doesn't really have a whole lot of problems with little Barf, and we're able to progress into another hub. Welcome to 3, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and we come across our first.
There's a whole bunch of door hubs right in a row. You got Tucson, Summers, 3, and let's see where this goes. It'll almost certainly be forwards, but it doesn't have to. All right, let's see what Thomas puts in for player name. Oh, and 2, baby. High level of confidence there, I see. Although,
what do you say to that?
Thomas, if he just searches these doors in order, he's going to go real fast. Oh, he's going to the hint man. Yeah, if he just backtracks and goes back the other way, he would save a lot of time against Eriphram, who searched every door in Summers before going to that one.
Still unsure what floor Airframe is on, but now that we've run across a scripted battle, he must have gone forward, so he is at least on floor 5 at this.
Yep, that's a good point. Somewhere between 5 and 8.
Based on that enemy, I think he may just be on 5.
Hey, you got the nice robot. Hey, look at that. Remember what we said about hamburgers earlier? Eriphram didn't buy those burgers. Oh, he did buy those burgers. I didn't see that. He must have bought burgers somewhere else before that.
And now it's time for my favorite part of an ancient cave run, Skipception.
Real easy to get lost, especially if you don't have some kind of method in place in your head to keep track of where you are. If you just start taking skips willy-nilly, you're going to get lost.
Oh, and the droid summons another droid in this battle, meaning it's going to be that much harder for him to clear it quickly.
Looks like Thomas is going to search Summers in exactly the same way that Eriphram did. Just say there's nothing wrong with that.
Not
it
at all.
just means
No.
that he's going to run into the door to the sanctuary dead last.
I've been finding lately that Summers tends to find itself nestled in the 7, 8, 9 area of the game, so it's refreshing to see it on floor. Eriphram, Eriphram finds the next floor sanctuary boss, but he has no idea what floor he's on, and he's also drained completely of psychic points, so he needs to go find himself a floor.
Yeah, I suppose, especially since it could still be 8, and you could run into Doggo. Ah, yeah, that's a star pendant. So there, that was
Well
a good
then,
choice. He would have walked right into Doggo.
yeah, he looks like he's pulling at least floor 8 items now, maybe possibly floor 9.
Well, I remember that he came up on the front end of the floor 8.
But he did leave, and he went into a different skit. I'm not sure where he is. Yeah, I guess he can't be on 9. You're definitely.
Well, yeah, I guess he did backtrack out and go. Well, maybe. I don't know. That's an ant down there, though. Yeah, you can't go from. Nah, I'm overthinking this. This is 8. Here it is, Thomas. Sure enough. Last door you can take in Summers. There's the boss. Airframe did the same thing.
He's on 9.
So he did skip there then.
Wow, to be on 9 at level 15. Oh boy.
You got your work cut out for you. You definitely have to do some grinding unless you just have incredible items. You definitely want to get at least PSI Shield Sigma, unless you have some other awesome plan in place.
And he's in an awful place to be like stuck at either the beginning or middle, or lacking a place to really go, because he's got to traverse through the Onit Hills, which are usually filled with enemies.
Hey, if you were gonna pick an enemy to fight on this floor, this guy would be high on my. But Airframe's kind of short on resources to even deal with this. Thomas took the same skip that Airframe took earlier, so he's actually well on his way to catching up right now.
Are we about to get a sub 1 hour in the losers bracket? That would be pretty amazing. I did not mean that to come across the way it sounded.
My match wasn't sub 1.
Mine was barely, just because 4 dead turns totally happens at. Haven't you ever gotten 4 dead turns from Gygas, or 4 useless turns?
No. Not even when I manip Gygas, I don't think. Yeah, this enemy's horrible and terrifying. That was a lucky run away, so we take those.
Eriphram definitely in a what do type of situation.
Thomas is actually hurting a little bit against this boss. Ooh, he's got the bazooka though. He should be okay. I call him a boss. I guess he's kind of a floor boss, but you really shouldn't be too tough at this point. Tom's just low on psychic.
Eriphram looking out and finding Pink Cloud, which is a great thing for him to find because now he can go take on some sort of enemy that is easily beaten with Freeze Beta, for instance, and he can start doing a little bit of a grind.
Yep, mark this spot with an exit mouse. Poke your head out, try to find something to fight. You can completely fail once. Pretty safe strategy once you're this far in. And there are definitely enemies on floor 9 you can beat up. Thomas, meanwhile, is fighting these slugs, and these are like the deep darkness slugs. These things, don't fight these. They do way too much damage and have way too much health. I mean, sometimes you don't have a choice, but don't voluntarily fight them.
Can always be deceptive with like whether or not those slugs are like the good slugs. Whoa, that is a great kill. He lucked out, and Jeff is going to gain some levels. Unfortunately, it's the most useless kid that you have typically. But hey, some levels are better than no.
Meanwhile, Eriphram's fighting a caterpillar. He doesn't have the offense to insta-kill this thing, so he's going to find out that this is actually a really nasty. Hopefully the 2 freeze betas do it. Okay.
Only gaining about 8,500 experience points. For where he's at in terms of levels, that's a lot. But for a caterpillar, that's actually kind of...
Yeah, it's probably just a regular caterpillar. They both show up on floor 9. Honestly, that Starman or Starman Super, whichever it would have been, probably about the same amount of experience, and would probably also cost 2 freeze bait.
And it looks like Eriphram has decided to try and grind for caterpillars or grind for enemies at this particular
Ooh, Thomas might be real happy here in a second. His 4 ghost party, if he goes down here. Oh, passing up the sanctuary. Oh, he's thinking about that phone. That's pretty scary. It's still pretty scary, especially with just Jeff. It's a real good way to get yourself stuck in a seat where you can't progress. There's another star pendant. You may as well, at this point, toss one on to Jeff. He's the only party member you...
Yeah, this is the part where my muscle memory where I have to slow down because I have thrown out many great items because I had dead.
That's definitely a thing. Yep, and Thomas now also plenty aware, if he wasn't before, that this is floor. I mean, a star pendant pins it to 8 or 9. It has to be one of the 2. Oh, Tom's getting pushed back by spawns.
Yeah, oh lord, they're coming.
Go down, just go down. You can do it. Both runners actually in the exact same spot right now, just varying levels of preparedness.
And only one of them with the knowledge that there is the sanctuary at the very bottom of Saturn Valley.
Well, there's a third pendant. Boy, this is pendant heaven. There it is. Yeah, you may as well. You only got Jeff right now. Just give him the star pendant and try to limp to the full heal. Eriphram, seeing where the other skip goes with this burger. It's a little interesting.
Maybe he feels underprepared and wants to go, hey, it's the free stuff place. Happy Village.
Was it worth it? Secret herbs are okay.
Yeah, secret herbs, some bottles of water for grinding, for giving Pooh back some PP. That's pretty good too.
If you really wanted to go all the way back, you could stock up on coins of silence and sell them for multi-bottle rock.
That would be quite the journey.
mean, if you've got that photographic memory, maybe you can make it only take a couple minutes. Thomas is in better shape now. Now he knows where that sanctuary is. Doing a little circle there.
And the
So
one thing that sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say he's just in the same boat. He's got to figure out some way to get himself basically more level. You got enough pendants. You definitely get through Gygus.
I think if I were them, I'd be thinking I need to just find a weak enemy on floor 9 and really, like you said earlier, just cycle through some sort of enemy and just grind very slowly. But they also stumbled upon free secret herbs. So what do I?
Thomas is stocking up on the secret herbs now.
This is why I always end up at Gygus with like nothing. So
That works for some people. It doesn't
That's
work for
true.
me, but it works for some people.
yeah.
Looks like Thomas is angling to equip those coins of silence. They're not bad. They're not awesome. I don't know if I would personally spend the time to equip them, but sure. I suppose you got them. You may as well use them.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, he has nothing at all in terms of defense, so anything is better than nothing.
Yeah, but I'm thinking anything on floor 9 is going to murder you no matter what your defense is.
True.
So, this is really a pretty close race when you think about it. Both runners are actually in the same spot with very similar levels of knowledge about the seed. They've both got similar amounts of items, and they're fairly close in levels.
Both of the runners discovering a full heal at Brick Road, or Dungeon Man, excuse me, not Brick Road, which is very useful information because now they can use this to.
Talk to Face, he'll heal you. Although he can be randomized by anybody, I suppose.
I mean, pretty much everybody has a face. Thomas opting to explore a bit more of Happy Village.
Yeah, I mean, given their levels, you can fight these enemies for experience. It's a little slow, but it's also a little safer. It's kind of a runner's preference.
And thankfully, you found all those pendants because we have the lovely Mook.
Even this fight can be a little scary. Crocodile swings with his tail, and it does a lot of damage. And if you've never been tail whipped by a lizard, let me tell you, it hurts a lot.
I have been in Earthbound, but not real life.
It looks like both runners have opted for the slightly safer strat. And, I suppose really they don't have the knowledge that we do that they're both basically in the same spot. You
Yeah.
could go the risky route and try to finish this thing in like 50 minutes and go for it, but then if you fail, maybe you wind up taking longer than the guy that took the safe strat.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say if you're feeling like, did I get lucky? Did the other guy not? Did the other runner not find it? Find the quick route to Gygas? Do I have time to grind? It's a lot of self-questioning at this point because they're still fairly early in the run.
Yeah, and especially since it was more than one skip that they took for this. It wasn't just one thing that was right on the way. The first skip was right on the way, but the second skip you had to have an item. I'm a bit of a pessimist. I just tend to assume that my opponent's already found whatever I've found.
Same. I really think if I were to do some armchair coaching of Earthbound Ancient Cave, I think the best play right now is to try and find the Gygas room and at least set up the mouse. I haven't really seen them save recently, so maybe that's also a priority for me at this time.
There was a save on floor 9, and both of them passed it. I don't think either of them actually saved there, though.
Maybe Tom saved because wasn't Jeff the only one alive at one point?
He thought about it and then decided not to, which was
Gotcha.
probably the right play, given the information he had at the time. There was no way of knowing that 2 rooms later is a full heal.
And then you're stuck with a level 15 Ness with about 80 HP.
I think Thomas is trying to fish for more items, something that he can buy. And I don't think either runner has really dived into the Tucson shops at all, so it's hard to say whether this will pay out.
I think they're really still hurting primarily for offensive gear.
Eriphram looks like he's moved on to maybe fighting some harder enemies. Those horrible spirits are not so horrible when you have 2 star pendants and an earth pendant, so I'd say, yeah, go for it. Ness is homesick. I don't know if Eriphram noticed that. That's nasty.
Ah, boy. Homesickness, for those of you who don't know, is a illness or a status ailment that only affects Ness, and basically it causes him to miss a whole bunch of turns when it is not really ideal for him to miss any of them.
Just a chance, though, so it can just kind of lurk in the wings until it's inconvenient.
What's the percentage? Isn't it like 1 out of every 5 or 4 turns?
I think that's about right. Of course, it's Earthbound. It's usually a multiple of 2, so I'm gonna say it's either 1 and 4 and 1. And 1 and 4 sounds too likely. I'm gonna say 1 and 8. But boy, I promise you, as soon as you know you're homesick, it's gonna seem like way more than 1 and 8.
Yeah, very much a confirmation bias type of status ailment.
I think literally the worst possible thing would be if Ness never exhibits his homesickness and Eriphram doesn't notice and didn't notice earlier in the status, goes in to fight Gygas and finds out then.
That would truly be a tragic moment.
This enemy here that Eriphram's fighting right now is actually one of the nastiest enemies that you're going to fight in the game. If he's paired up with his buddy, the Major Psychic, because I throw peas everywhere, that's, I would say, in my top 5 worst fights in the game. You can't paralyze them to get out of the fight. You can't really hypnosis them to get out of it. They put up PSI Shield Omega, so you can't just use freeze to blow them out of the fight. You gotta either use items or have a ton of offense. Or just sit there and run and hope that they don't kill you with psychic attacks.
So Thomas not really finding too many useful items in the tsjonte shops in the bazaar. Does stumble upon another shop which sells secret herbs though. So he's got a plentiful amount of secret herbs available to.
He took the bottles of deluxe water for poo, so that'll be good.
Yes, you are right. So bottles of deluxe water heal poo only for 40 psychic points, which basically make poo your designated healing. At least for me, that's what he does.
Yeah, depends on what he's got and what you need. If Ness wants to pick up the healing, go for it. If Pooh needs to pick it up, great. If Pooh's got Starstorm, then he's probably doing damage. Hey, look at that. It's the fight I just talked about with Eriphram. This thing sucks. A lot. He's going to try to Hypnosis Omega, and it might work on the other guy. Maybe.
Yeah, this is a rough fight, but luckily he's got the pendant, so he's pretty protected from their psychic fire attacks.
Yeah, but this freeze is going to bounce right back. Bam! Still 18 damage on a Paula that doesn't have that much. Yep. Eriphram, I think, was just hoping that they would be vulnerable to hypnosis. And one of them kinda is. Oh yeah, they do paralysis too, because why not?
I think at this point his best bet is to try and run.
I mean, you can just hang out. It can't get any worse than it already had. Best if Paula have star pendants, they're not going to get paralyzed. They're going to take like 12 damage from a fire beta. Dumb, but you already were in it for that long. Hey, you can run away. Hey, that's a 3rd star pendant.
Where is this seed when I am playing? I need to know these things.
The star pendant will not retroactively remove paralysis. I'm sorry, Eriphram.
He's got a million secret herbs though, so he should probably think about using one of them. But it's Jeff, so who cares?
Yeah, kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, I guess he has. Actually, does his Jeff have a bazooka, or is that just Tom?
I think it's just Tom's.
Yeah. You want to do it, it's up to you. I suppose that's runner's choice.
Yeah, I don't think numbness actually affects anything other than them being able to physically attack or use items. It doesn't affect their run rate.
Yeah, that's all Jeff can do, and he ain't doing anything anyway, so whatever. Oh, there it is. There's your first chance to really notice that Ness is homesickness here. And he kind of hesitated for a second there, so I think he realized it this time. And Thomas a little nervous about taking the green swirl on the Starman, but he got it.
Some of these late floor enemies are enemies that you kind of end up blowing through during a vanilla run. So it kind of becomes a matter of remembering how exactly to fight them.
This is a guide see Pooh learning Healing Gamma on Eriphram's end. Sometimes I sit there and try to get the experience on Pooh for Healing Gamma, and he just won't learn it.
Eriphram finding a healing spot and a save point. It's not a full heal. He can't heal dead kids here, but he can at least save and spend the night at the hotel, which is
and
very
call Mom.
And call Mom. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about that.
I missed that. Eriphram must have overmashed and hit A instead of. Hey, look at that. There's a Diadem of Kings. So there you go. Eriphram has essentially 3.5 star pendants. I say half because Pooh won't perfectly resist paralysis.
We can't have everything, can we?
I guess he could swap it out between the cloak and the Earth Pendant. Eriphram not equipping the Earth Pendant quite yet. I would, if I were him, leave that cloak. It gives you 40 speed on Pooh if you weren't aware, so it's going to really raise your odds of running away. For example, from this fight, which is also in my top 5 worst fights in the game.
Oh my god, this fight. Oh good, Starstorm Alpha.
Because it tends to pair up. Normally, fast tech speed, the Stars party isn't quite so bad, but then you sit here through the Brain Shock every auto fight getting the life ups off in time. That was a good play.
Yes. Yeah, because you don't have to worry about the Starstorm Alpha after the first turn.
Not gonna save Pooh though. He was kind of. As soon as Pooh felt strange, that was kind of doomed.
Thomas picking up the mock pizza number, which might be of use if he decides to go a large pizza route for his Gygas.
Kids are a little shy on psychic points and not great hit points, not terrible. One large pizza wouldn't be a bad idea. Hey, look at that. Here's another star party.
Oh, goodness. Poor Eriphram.
On the bright side, it tells you that you're getting pretty close to Gygas. Or very deep in a dead end, I suppose. I've had that happen too. But I think at this point, by process of elimination, I think this has to be Gygas.
Thomas running into Onet, which not sure how that's going to work out. And he runs into what is essentially a dead end on Eriphram's side.
Yeah, he's thinking about it. He's like, well, let's see where this goes. Maybe I can heal. And that would be a pretty nice find if there's a close by heal.
Oh, and he runs into a robot, and his offensive reserves are not great. He's got Jeff and Ness, and I don't think they have any decent equipment equipped. Oh, maybe. Nah,
River is now following.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you have enough levels, you can punch that robot to death, unless you just have really bad stats. Eriphram wandering into that might have been the floor boss room. A little hard to tell from just that little snippet, but it had the possibility.
Thomas again exploring on it. It may be the right way. We're not really sure yet.
Oh, that's the baddest beam. You thought you were bad? This is the baddest beam.
I love the baddest beam. It's bad.
Jeff puts on his power glove, punches the enemies into submission. These look like the early enemies on Eriphram's side. I think that's a long skip backward.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's on. Could he have gone as far back as 4? He's either 5 or 4.
Yeah, I think those enemies show up on 4 or 5, but I don't think later than 5.
He does manage to find Rainy Circle to give himself a full heal, so that's good.
I have to imagine that's all he was looking for. I can't quite read his mind, though, so we'll see. If I was in his situation, I would be pretty stoked to have found that, and I would run right back to where I was.
Thomas finding the Gaia Beam, which I think is either the best or the second best weapon for Jeff. So
best weapon.
I always think it's called the baddest Gaia Beam for some reason, but that's not right.
It's the best weapon you're going to find unless you've got some weird where you're gonna unequip Jeff and give him a sudden guts pill so that he can smash things with his fists.
Oh, and
Off on
Thomas
Jeff.
realizing he's going backwards, he goes on the opposite side of I believe, the floor 8 boss.
It happens. It definitely happens. If you want to avoid that yourself, try to pay attention to the enemies that are around you. The enemies get harder the deeper you are into the floor. So if you're on floor 9 and you start running into enemies that you would see in Lumina Hall, probably time to turn around. Unless you still need items, of course. Don't let me stop you from digging.
Yeah, as we said, he managed to find Jeff's two best weapons in this game. So.
Hard to say. The Gaia Beam will definitely be helpful against random enemies along the way. I don't think Jeff will have enough offense to be better off bashing than just using the bazooka, but I guess we'll see. I'd have to actually see Jeff's offense, and it's going to have to be at least over 200 before I'd really consider that over the bazooka.
No, I think when he looked at it, it was about in the high 160s with the baddest beam, or the Gaia beam equipped.
Oh, as if it wasn't insulting enough. One, mooks aren't vulnerable to fire, so that fire beta would have done 12 damage. If the mook didn't randomly have a psychic, that's cruel.
It's when you know the randomizer's out to get you today. In my opinion, the Mook is one of the more annoying random enemies to run into. It casts very strong Psi magic, oh my god, Psi abilities. It can diamondize you as well, which is very difficult. It can cast a Psi Fire, which hits your entire party, so very challenging enemy to stumble upon. Then for it to have a Psychic Shield on top of that, insult to injury.
I mean, both runners are pretty well poised to deal with one in this. But Thomas has got an Earth Pendant and 2-star pendants, and Eriphram sitting on 3.5-star pendants. So Eriphram is like nothing to worry about in that fight. And Thomas might lose a Pooh or a Jeff, but he shouldn't wipe to that fight. Well, there's a legendary bat that's like, what, number 3 for now?
I figure if the Gutsy is offensively stronger than it. I know the Gutsy comes with the Guts boost, which makes it effectively better, but I think Legendary is the best one, other than Casey Bat. But Casey Bat, as we all know, has a 25% accuracy.
Yeah, I think it is number 2. I don't know. I like Gutsy Bat better. If you just want offense, then take the Legendary Bat. Eriphram had a really lucky runaway there that we kind of glossed over in the last fight. Ness ran away with 1 hit point, and the only other kid that actually died was Paula.
Hopefully his luck holds up here in this particular fight.
Brain shock is not what you want to see, and that's why. Ooh, and he accidentally auto-fought. I don't think he meant to do that.
Alright, Thomas finding his way back in the right direction.
Eriphram's kind of sitting here thinking, alright, where did I save? And how can I get my other 3 kids back? This is a dangerous situation to be in. Especially since he doesn't have the benefit of Pooh's speed at this point with the cape. This is actually a good fight to try to run away from. As long as that Evil Eye is not there, you get a lot of turns in pretty quickly.
Tom is stumbling on a shop that is selling Horns of Life, which is the best revival item in the game.
So Eriphram's actually suffering a little bit here. These flame enemies, if you progress through the cave normally, So if you would have fought the floor 8 boss, which in this case was Carbon Dog, these enemies would be running from you instead of trying to get in a fight with. It is kind of the minor advantage to not skipping directly to 9, is that it's a little bit easier to get to Gygus, and you're more likely to be in one piece when you get there.
Yes, and those flames shoot nasty fire attacks at you. Again, he has star pendant, so some of that can be mitigated, but when it run into the lava enemy and the ghost elemental enemy, it can be a deadly combination.
Eriphram opting to use the exit mouse and going back to the full heal that he knows that he had, which was on floor 9, so definitely not a bad choice. Can't do it again, though, unless he finds another exit mouse.
Or he resets.
Or he resets. He could do that. I don't know that he saved again at the phone, though. I think he would lose quite a bit of progress if he did that. Please remember where the other phone was? Or does he just not remember what these rooms are? Because I don't remember what these rooms are. It's been too long. If I was playing the seed myself, I might have remembered.
I want to say they had to go.
There it is.
Up into
Oh,
the.
go
There we
save
go.
with
Yeah.
that door. Oh,
No,
okay.
what are you doing? Oh no.
Okay.
I was about to have a Tyra Banks moment. We were all rooting for you. That's fine. That's fine.
Thomas took the save at his phone there, and now it looks like he's trying to dig back through. I think this is floor 9. Probably the far end of floor 9. Not the end by Gygus.
It's really great to see a similar race, and by that I mean both of the runners really taking kind of a very similar route in terms of skips, which makes it a lot more easy to follow and easier to watch and enjoy. Wow, a arms seller that is selling all the bottle rockets. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Maybe he just buys the Maltese and then realized, wait, I can unpackage these myself. There we are.
Oh
For him to
boy.
decide he's ready for Gygus.
I think Eriphram might be looking for a phone. Not really sure what he's doing here.
Unknowingly, Thomas is coming up right behind. This is going to remain close, I think. If Thomas can get up there with most of his psychic points intact, he may decide to just go for it. Alright, here it is, Eriphram.
Eriphram looking like he's about to opt to take Gygas down. But like you said, Tom is not that far behind, and one bad shot of Rockin' Beta at the beginning of the fight can make or break Airframe right here.
Eriphram choosing not to put the Earth Pendant on Pooh. I don't know. I feel like that's a mistake, at least for phases 2 and 3. But to each their own. That's another point too, if you were not aware, because it's a very seldom used thing in Earthbound speedruns or casual playthrough. You can change equips mid-combat, so you can get the benefit of the Cloak of Kings for the first phase, and then tell Pooh to toss on the Earth Pendant for phase 2.
Yes, I did that in one particular scene with the Rabbit's Foot and the Sea Pendant for Jeff.
Let's see how this big bottle rocket turns out. I expect 0 damage, but you never know. Ooh, we got an alpha. That's pretty safe.
I'll be optimistic and say it'll do 70 damage.
We got the paralysis. That's pretty safe. Boom, boom, boom.
Well, you're right once again, Ori. It did no damage.
The real danger here, right now, and I think it's what Eriphram is kind of menuing slowly over, because he's trying to figure out how to get out. Paula doesn't have enough psychic points to do another shield Sigma, so he needs to get through phase 1 really fast, and he can't. Yeah, there's Magnet Omega. He's trying to come up with the psychic points to stay alive.
Yeah, he could. He potentially can mitigate that through the use of Omega, but it's not going to be for very long. And one bad Magnet Omega round, and it's just certain.
I don't. Oh no, that was Thomas. I was going to say if he had the bottles of deluxe water, he could actually opt for a strat where you only keep Paula and Pooh alive, let Pooh do the damage to, and just let the other 2 kids die and conserve psychic points that way. So this is going to hurt. He's going to take another rockin' from Gygas. Yeah, and Jeff with no good weapon, he's just going to hit for 1 on Koki. That's pretty common. Unless you have the best weapon for Jeff, he's probably not bashing for much. Oh, it's just an alpha, not punished for that.
And a very low roll Rockin' Alpha as well. The only thing that Eriphram will really have to worry about in this next phase is if Gygas uses Thunder, because Thunder is the only thing that could really do a lot of damage to Paula.
And he's got a fair amount of psychic points, but he doesn't have a lot. If Gygas was aggressive in phases 2 and 3, he could quickly run out of resources. Oh, Thomas found the Diadem of King, which means that he's up to 2.5 star pendant. Unless he saw that other star pendant, I missed that. He's on the right route to find it.
Yeah, Eriphram is kind of in a tough spot right now. This fight going on a bit longer than you really want it to.
Yeah, he just doesn't. He has no good way of dealing damage. All he's got is freeze beta from Paula and Pooh, and Paula doesn't have the psychic points to do it. He's really in a jam.
If I'm him, I might be taking some chances with using a Psi Beta. Or a Rockin' Beta.
Yeah, that's...
You're already spending the time anyway.
You might just have to. The real risk is that that bounces back off and hits Paula because you won't be able to heal her in time. Eriphram doing the shield around early. There's actually nothing wrong with that. That doesn't hurt you at all. In fact, I think it's ever so slightly faster if you expect to be in the fight that long. Ooh, he's got regular bottles of water. Better than nothing. It's it's something you can do. It's about equivalent to Omega, honestly, for Magnet, but it's guaranteed, I suppose. 9 to 11, or is it 9 to 12?
I think it's 9 to 12. I think
Pokey's
12.
got
Go ahead.
Pokey's got a lot of hit points too. That's not helping.
Yeah.
Thomas is better prepared in terms of items, and he may be able to get through this faster. Assuming that he gets there, he's still got to get there.
Yeah, he's gotta get there. That's the answer.
Thomas making this minor little mistake, and I make it too. I'm super guilty of. But when you walk into a sanctuary, the kids' hit points start rolling up the next time you open a menu. So when you take a sanctuary heal, if you think you're going to get into a fight right away, just open and close the B menu real fast, and you won't have to sit there and wait for their hit points to roll up, so they don't just get immediately murdered again.
Yeah, you just hit B twice and you're good.
Oh, we found the Bottle Rocket vendor. You could buy one MBR, and he's gonna. Maybe he's not gonna. Yeah, maybe he's gonna. Okay.
Will he or won't we? Won't he?
Eriphram's in real trouble now. I think he's just hoping that he gets to the next phase here. And he does.
Oh my gosh! But he's gonna be hard pressed to do enough damage in second phase Gygus. He's out of psychic points. He does have bottles of water, but you can't use magnet on Gygus. So Paula is effectively gonna be using prey strats.
Attention, all Earthbound gamers. He's gonna go for the rock and betas. That's psychic points he's not gonna have to heal Paula. He's really in a jam. I can't really say that I have a better strat for this. Praying is probably your best bet.
Well, he looks out first turn and gets a max heal on Paula with that first prey. Really, at this point, you're probably hoping you land a bunch of prayers with like psychic points. And Thomas stumbles upon Gygus. So we have a race.
Eriphram, remember the brain shock strat, so that part's good. Yep, Thomas is going to dive right in. He could easily catch up and overtake Eriphram currently at this rate. Thomas is a lot better prepared with items. So you'll notice too, and in tier it is coming back to bite Eriphram. The whole Earth Pendant thing on Pooh. You could have avoided him feeling strange right now if you would have just equipped that Earth Pendant.
All right, let's see how this goes down. I mean, Tom's gonna have the same issue with Paula since Paula's PP is so low. He is gonna have to probably resort to using Magnet
That's a
in
very
order to
scary
restore
beta,
her.
but it didn't kill anybody, so that was lucky. No paralysis either. Tom's got about the worst opening you can get on Gygus. And the MBR also misses. Not too much of a surprise. Seems like that always happens in Rainbow. Yeah, Thomas kind of struggling here a little bit. He is in a bind since Pokey is not paralyzed. Ooh, maybe he'll get the Solidify, outspeeding him. Nope. That's the worst kid to die, too.
Oh, and he loses Pooh.
And here come the lightnings. That's gonna hurt a lot on Eriphram.
And his kids are asleep, so that's great. It's just not going well for either.
I mean, it'd be fine if. Oh, yeah, he's just resetting. As soon as he bashed Gygus to get rid of the feeling strange on him, that got real bad real fast. So now it looks more like if Thomas can figure out his way to get past phase 1 here, which uh, through no fault of Thomas's, that was just the worst possible opening. But
Yeah,
now he's
can't do anything about that. That opening was brutal.
kind of back in control, but it looks like he doesn't have much to do with Paula here. Yeah, you can't even dazzling light the Devil's Machine. Tried that when I was routing at 8%.
I don't think Thomas is aware that he can magnet both of them.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Oh, this will be... Yeah. He's in a lot of trouble now.
Jeff wants Paula dead.
Yeah, Thomas had a bad opening on Gygus, and it looks like he just wasn't quite able to handle it.
And we got 4 dead kids on the screen at once.
He made that save, and he made it nice and close so he can get right back to the full heal. That's probably the key to floor 9, especially skipping onto floor 9, but for Gygus as well.
One of the cool little, I don't know whether to call it an Easter egg or not, but I'm going to call it an Easter egg, is that once you reach the Gygus room, when you go back to any sort of town or hub, it plays the prayer music that you hear when you do the prayers in Vanilla Earthbound, which I think is kind of...
Yep. In Earthbound Ancient Cave, when you walk into the door, it sets the flags for the prayer sequence. So anything you do, any backtracking you do is going to play that prayer. You'd see the same thing in regular Earthbound if you manage to somehow escape the cave to the past and go back to the regular world. It's the same effect happens.
So ultimately, folks, what we have is 2 runners trying to figure out how they get past Giga Gas at this point. Thomas opting to use the reset trick in order to summon the mock pizza delivery man, so he can get some large pizzas. It's a good strat to have for that first Gygas fight, especially after the brutal showing he just... Oh my god, the mock pizza man canceled on him. See Eriphram stumbling upon one of the present rooms that you can find, and doesn't really find anything of major use. Thomas just finding a bunch of dead ends. Really, Winter's the only thing that's important here is it's the way to Gygus. One of the few seeds where Jeff has rolled a very high HP growth stat, I will say. Usually kind of spells doom for Jeff if he's at this point is at like 150 HP, 200. That happens a lot of the time. This time Jeff is he's closing in on 400 HP at about level 40. And it looks like Tom is going to do a second attempt at Gygus at this point. If I had to venture a guess, I would say that Eriphram is looking for anything on the planet that would give him any sort of way of keeping up damage against Gygus. Oh, it's another beta. Ori, are you there? I cannot hear you if you're still here. Actually, you know, Paula being dead here isn't the worst, but Tom might be feeling like he might want to reset here.
Here, is this better?
There we go. Welcome back.
Yeah, I don't know why. Sometimes it just shuts off.
That's all right. I was just wondering. I was like, it's been quiet, and I was trying to tell you in the Discord, trying to be, professional about it. All right. Tom is gonna luck out here just a little bit by taking a alpha rockin'. And Paula gets to set up a second site. Shield Sigma or Shield. Yeah, it's Shield Sigma. I can't.
So Thomas is opting to use these freeze gammas, and they get real expensive on Psychic. I really strongly prefer to just use freeze betas. They're way more economical in terms of damage. Looks like he's just going to try to force his way through this fight, and I don't think he has enough damage to quite get there. It seemed like Pokey had quite a bit of hit points when Eriphram was doing it earlier. But Thomas isn't going to know that yet, and he got there anyway.
There we
Ignore
go.
me.
Yeah, why'd you bother coming back on if we were just gonna ignore you anyway? I kid. Alright, so we're in phase 2, and despite, Ness and Paul looking a little bit frail over there, I think Tom is positioned in a pretty decent spot. He's just got to make it through that phase 2. But he's much more prepared. He's got some bottles of DX water. I think he's got.
Yeah, he's definitely got a shot. He's based on his character's offense. I think he's just best off bashing with Ness and Jeff and throwing out freezes as you can. And I would keep at least 10 psychic points on Pooh to put up a brain shock in phase 3. Boy, that's unfortunate. He's still got some secret herbs. Now's the time, and he does. He decided he doesn't want to. Oh, he's got Jeff doing it. Oh, that works. Okay.
Gets a solidify off. Good, that gives him a free turn.
Oh, there's too many. Oh, well. Looks like Eriphram's just opting to try Gygas again.
He was able to find some equipment earlier. He might be able to do a little bit more damage with Jeff if he can make it to phase 2. But I still think his Ness is a little bit ill-equipped.
Yeah, I saw they got the Gaia beam for Jeff, so at least that's something. Jeff will be useful in some capacity. He still needs to give that Earth Pendant over to Pooh, though. And that right there is the major danger with praying. especially when you turn around and try to life up next turn, because there's a good chance it's not going to fall. He does have enough secret herbs to just start tossing them around, even when he's feeling strange, though. So.
Oh god, this is the Hail Mary.
That might be it. Yeah, he's out of revive items. The rest of them are sitting on. And he doesn't have any. He doesn't have any way to get psychic points back on Pooh. Yeah, so that's why you really don't want to pray until you're really down to no other options. That's even more disappointing. God. You can see that he could have just bashed it out and it would have been fine.
Yeah, nothing he could do there. Part of the running and getting to that point is just kind of trying to calm your nerves a little bit and not make impulsive decisions, and knowing when it's time to pray, when it's time to bash, if you have the offense to do a proper bash attack towards Gygas, because Gygas has some pretty decent defense. And there's his pizza now.
I got it this time. When he eats his third beta, he'll have a pizza. Once you see one beta, you seem to see more. I don't know what it is.
Okay, I haven't been focusing on Eriphram's stream for a bit, but it looks like he's kind of in the same position he was a few minutes ago, or the last time he fought Gygas, which has no real way of doing damage, or is struggling to do the proper amount of.
Yeah, this is a rough seed to have just kind of tried to blow straight through. As it turns, despite the kids having good stats, it's a little bit tough to do enough damage to get through the phases. Not impossible by any means, just tough. You can't really afford to make too many mistakes during the Gygas fight.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what a good strat would be. Even if you ran into this, you only had the C pendants. And I mean, Airfram's kind of pulling off what I think the proper strat is for phase one. If he can get through phase one, and if Pooh were alive, he might be he brain shocks Gygas. He might have a shot.
Yeah, you kind of have two routes to go in the second phase. Either you brain shock Gygas and hope he does most of the damage to himself and try to supplement it with psychic attacks, or you just tank the attacks and try to bash him down. So you can't bash him and keep him feeling brain shocked.
And then the other question is, when do you brain shock him? If you do it early, then you can't effectively bash him. So if you're able to do damage with bashing, then you don't want to brain shock him, because then you knock him out.
All right, Eriphram's in better position than last time he was in phase 2. It's still not great, but it is better than where he was before. I like that boiled egg on Paula. It's one way to heal her. She can take one more lightning, most likely, now.
Yeah, during my last race, I used Paula's bread roll during the Gygas fight.
Usually I just toss them. Keep the inventories cleaner. Ooh, nice double thunder on Gygas onto himself.
Even Gygas is like, all right, guys, I'll help you out here. I know it's tough this time. Good guy, Gygas. And that's something that I didn't know until until my previous stream doing commentary, is that you can lag just looking through your inventory. I don't know why it never dawned on me that was a possibility, but
Yeah, if you're ever curious, try the difference between having a completely empty inventory and then fill it up with like 14 skip sandwich deluxes or bottles of DX water, something with just like horribly long, and you will immediately realize what we're talking about.
yeah, I think it was Quattro was dropping Jeff's items at the very beginning of the game, and I was like, what is he doing? And Chaz is like, oh, he's dropping the items so that he doesn't lag when he goes through his inventory. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. Cool.
I like to wait to find the ideal way to get rid of your items is if you find the 2 Center 4 side department stores and you go up to the return desk. That's faster than even trying to drop your items with instant text. Thomas is back. Looks like he's going to give Gygas another try, and he definitely could at this point still catch Eriphram.
The war against Gaius is not over. Or Gygas, not Gaius. That's what I used to call him when I didn't know how to pronounce his name as a child.
Gigagas.
Gigagas, yes.
Attention. Eriphram is debating what he wants to do. He's sitting there and he's like, I guess I'm going to pray. Ooh, scary. Yeah, there it is. He's made it to phase
All right,
3.
phase
So
3.
it's all down to luck at this point. He didn't save 10 psychic points on Pooh, so he can't brain shock, but he has a real shot at finishing. Paula can take somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 to 3. He's using the chicken on Gygas. Come on. Oh, he's got a bottle of water. He's good.
Yeah, he's got a couple bottles of water.
I was going to say Paula can take in the neighborhood of 1 to 3 lightnings. I have to imagine Thomas will make it through this time, so if Eriphram can make it through phase 3, this is probably it for him.
Yeah, the only big random variable are those thunders that Gygas throws.
I think something just happened with Thomas. I'm waiting to see. He made unhappy faces. Maybe he's just frustrated at the speed at which he's getting through Gygas. Hey, you remember the Magnet Omega strat?
There we go. We have that going for him now, which is good because now he can at least keep the size shield up a little bit more consistent. Eriphram reaching his third prayer.
This is definitely a good safety strat. I recommend this if you have the psychic points to. It's a little bit slow, but you can queue up a life up on Paula every turn that she's vulnerable to lightning, or if you're really risky, like freeze, and heal her so that she doesn't die when she goes into her little prayer sequence, because you're not going to mash out any amount of damage if you go into the prayer sequence.
Oh no, he accidentally hits auto fight.
That works.
But he knocks Gygus out of brain shock with a bash.
Oh, there's mortal damage and mortal damage again.
Oh, and that's it for
Well,
Paula.
let's see what Pooh's got on him. He's not done yet, I don't think. Maybe after that. How much does he have left? He's got a secret herb or two. Thomas has a lot of ammo here against Gygus. He's much better prepared than Eriphram was. All of this time that Eriphram is taking in phase 3 here gives Thomas just that little extra bit to catch up.
But I believe this is the 5th prayer for Eriphram, so let's see how this goes.
Ooh, you got the heal off on Paula in time on Thomas's side.
Actually, that was prayer 6. I think now we're entering prayer 7 on Eriphram's side.
Ooh, and the life up on Paula. So he's sitting. I don't want to quite say sitting pretty, but he's looking a lot better.
All right, one more prayer for Eriphram, but essentially this is GG.
Is that a solidify? Oh, no, there he is.
That's that. So Eriphram moves on to the next round. Good job, good game, Eriphram. Difficult Gygus that took quite a bit from both runners to get through that Gygus fight. I think both of them had to go through it at least 3 times.
Yeah, both of them found Gygus, about 35 minutes ago?
Yes, it was about an hour ago that both of these guys found Gygus. Thomas is still in phase 2 of Gygus on his side of the screen.
Yeah, getting pretty unlucky with these Rockin. Rockin has a chance to miss based on the difference between the enemy's speed and your speed. So if Ness is really slow and Gygus is really fast, like is most likely the case here, you'll see a lot of misses. And there you go, Thomas is in phase 3.
Yes, Thomas is in phase 3 now. No guarantees though, as he does not have a poo to do brain shock. But he is in a pretty decent position. All he's got to do is keep Paula alive. He's got a Horn of Life on Ness. That's a guaranteed revival.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Eriphram, welcome.
Congrats.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, very well deserved after that long and hard battle against Gygas, finding him an hour ago and finally getting through.
Oh man, the resources were pretty slim, and I couldn't find a freaking ATM machine.
I was curious what you kind of backtracked for. I was certain you were looking for more stuff to be able to throw at Gygas. But yeah, other than the multi-bottle rockets, neither of you have found a rabbit's foot. So the odds of that really doing any damage are slim to none.
Yeah, neither of you
Just
found
looking for
super
the
bombs
crystal
either.
charm.
There were, yeah, I think I saw crystal charms in a shop or two, but rabbit's foots were not nowhere to be found in either of the players.
I figured after I got to phase 2 with absolutely no resources left and slogging at it for another 5 minutes, I'm like, I'm not gonna make it through. Let's just cut this now and go find more stuff.
I was a little surprised you didn't put the Earth Pendant on Pooh.
Well, I ended up flipping the star pendant to Pooh for the psychic points the second time around, and keeping the earth pendant on Jeff, since he had a little bit of value this time around, doing about 50 per attack.
I was just thinking you had 3 star pendants and an Earth and a diadem plus the Earth pendant is basically a star pendant. You could have had 4 star pendants.
Yeah.
Hey, you got no L button, no problems here, so good job on that.
0 and 0. I don't think I've seen that.
Didn't I throw that chicken? I thought I did.
You threw it at Gygas. Chaz has gone on the
Yeah.
record as claiming that is not humane to throw a chicken at your enemy.
Worth it.
Oh no, and Thomas loses Paula at this point. I don't know if Pooh has any sort of revival item.
Pooh's got a healing gamma. Oh, he's got a Horn of Life too.
Oh, good.
Good. Whew.
I take it Thomas didn't find the secret herb stash I found at the free stuff on
Nope,
the floor. And,
you both found
I'd
it.
be happy. Oh,
You both
cool.
made extremely similar decisions, pretty much for the first, I would say, 50 minutes.
Yeah, it was uncanny how similar your decision making was.
It's kind of creepy. Wow.
Don't be that way.
Gygas, come on, don't do it. Oh no, and his premonition, his username is about to come true as well.
Hey, Thomas finishing, looks like about 6 minutes later. Really, that is a very close race for Ancient Cave. I mean, you both had multiple attempts on Gygas.
Yeah, again, good on you both for sticking through and completing that Gygas. It's brutal to take one death from Gygas, let alone to take the second and to keep going.
It is kind of the risk associated with skipping directly to 4-9.
Yeah, especially from so early on, the resources that you may have on 7, 8, and 9 you don't get.
There's the player name. Poor Thomas.
And there we go, Thomas ending on a 144.05. Both runs very solid. Sub 2 hour. This is not a game for the faint of heart.
Make it stick around, see what Thomas's stats were at the end at least. I know he freed at least one chicken.
Ah, it was a Saturn Valley music all along.
$289 door transitions, and that was mostly, I think, trying to get prepared for Gygus. I think you found Gygus at under 200. That had the potential to be a very fast seed. It just didn't quite have the resources to get through Gygus reliably, and the luck wasn't there to get through it fast.
Yeah, if you're going to get the Geiger stats quickly, the only way to effectively do that and finish quickly is having kids with psychic points that can keep up the damage. If you don't have kids with psychic points, you can't really do much.
Humane and valid.
You do. This is another seed that had Carbon Dog in it, but I'm glad we got to skip by it again this time.
Yeah, those are the only non-good boys that I think anybody really doesn't want to see on their doorstep. Those two not good boys.
Thomas just says 0-2, baby.
So Eriphram, you're going to be moving on. I think let me check the bracket. Are you facing Nerm next, or are you facing Andy Perfect?
He'll be facing Nerm next. And then the winner of that round will face the loser between myself and Daniel.
Yes, I pulled it up. Okay, so yep, that is correct. So you may be facing Ari soon, or I think we're all going to eventually face Ari. So it's
I can't play everyone.
Either way, it's a tough road ahead.
By all I meant me, maybe potentially. I'll have to play you sometime. I don't know. I guess it doesn't. I don't know. I can't bracket. Don't worry about it.
I mean, if you win and I win, then we play each other.
Oh yeah, that is how that would work.
Or I guess if you lose and I lose, and then I win and you. Or if I win and I win and you lose and you win and you.
Yeah, if I lose and then I win the entire losers bracket and you win every round, we would still have to face off each other. So.
Well, it was a good run between both
Yes.
runners. I think you both had a very good shot at winning that seed. You both made pretty similar decisions up through Gygus. And honestly, it was a close race. Congratulations again, Eriphram.
Thank you.
Congratulations to both runners. If you can hear this out there, Tom opting to play Mario's Missing.
I'm perfectly okay with this.
Oh, can we keep the stream going? I'm quite content watching this right now.
I don't know. It looks like the stream is dying on my end. I'm not sure what's going on. Not the Earthbound Super Series, his actual stream. It's just buffering.
But either way, I'd like to thank both Stupid Sexy Flanders and Ari for the commentary, and Chaz for restreaming this. Thank you so much for what you folks have done.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Not a problem. It's always fun to provide the commentary. I promise I wasn't too harsh on any decision making that happened during this.
I think that's all we got.
Yes, looking forward to the next set of races. A lot of races coming your way this week. A lot of scheduling went on yesterday once we had our final matches all set up. I think I go on Sunday. Do you know when your next one is, or
Sunday. We picked a time, and then you guys picked exactly the same time.
okay? I will talk to Quattropost. Maybe we'll arrange. We'll try and arrange something else.
It doesn't matter to me. I just work, so I'm not very flexible on a Sunday. And I believe Classic James is racing on Saturday with Andy, I believe. So
All
there
right.
should be a lot this weekend to look forward to.
Yeah, so a lot of ancient caves, a lot of randomizers, a lot of will you heal me's, a lot of how much HP do you have, a lot of great existential questioning coming your way, courtesy of Earthbound Ancient Cave. Anyway, have a good night, everybody. Enjoy your night, and that's a wrap.
Will you heal me?